The last talk of the day is by Dr. Bhavana Prashar. She is an accomplished Ayurveda doctor and a principal scientist at IGIB. She has been for the last 20 years contributing to the collaborative work on Genomics with Dr. Mitali Mukherjee. So without much ado, I would like to call Dr. Bhavana Prashar, who is going to talk to us about designer diet plan, personalized consideration for health and nutrition in Ayurveda. Dr. Mitali.
Good evening, everyone. I will not take very long. In fact, I will give a perspective of Ayurveda on whatever we have heard so far since morning, and many aspects that we have heard so far, how Ayurveda describes it and put it in a framework. Basically, so that's the talk, and that leads to enabling designer diet plan. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to, the first slide that I have kept is of the summary slide basically. So we all know about the importance of food, and this I am writing from the Ayurveda textual descriptions, and eventually during the course of presentation I will take you through individual kind of citations from Ayurveda which describes in detail each of these things. So we know health relation in development, growth and development, maintenance of health, promotion of positive health. So not just for maintenance of health, but how you can enhance health through specific dietary supplements as well as dietary practices. Then second thing is dynamic adaptation to health, dynamic adaptation to time and space, and how Ayurveda describes to remain in a dynamic state of health, how you can make certain changes in the considering time and space and age, etc. The dietary changes enable you to do dynamic adaptations. Disease relation, pairs are the opposite of pairs. So light and heavy, hot and cold. Okay. So likewise there is a relation, like for example Madhur is Guru, which is heavy, it is cold, it has a smooth texture, and all these properties are similar to Kapha, and therefore Madhur will have an enhancing effect on Kapha. So that's the basis of understanding the relation between food and internal biological systems. So, so this tells that the basic properties, 6 tastes. Then there are other things also described: odor, color, texture, form, and each of these can actually have an effect on dosha. And via their effect on dosha, they will have subsequent effect on the entire internal physiological functioning. Like these 3 triangles at all 3 places are tridosha. So if the diet also has to influence tridosha, all the subsequent biological signaling will take place to give rise to features of health, or maybe alter the features of disease in a desired manner.
Does it also talk about the preference of what we like to eat?
Yes.
Suppose if I'm Kapha, I would have more tendency towards.
You will have more tendency. So there is a liking and there is a suitability. So as far as suitability is concerned, you will the sweet will not suit you because it will induce more of a kapha in you. So already you are high kapha, and if you eat too much madhur, sweet, you will have more kapha, which is not good for you. So that tells you that this is something you need to avoid, and this is something will be beneficial to you.
So is there any, because data seems to be very structured already, and this clearly sees a multiple variable problem. A lot of variable already there, an input variable and output variable is already there. So do you have any studies noted where this can be done as a computational simulation?
So that's what I am presenting here for.
Well, till date people are not interested. People are, doesn't these things, computational simulation sort of thing?
It's very much possible, and it's actually very much doable. So that's what I was saying.
That's what I'm
So
thinking.
you have, so we generally follow 2 approaches, right? So
Okay.
we have either a domain-based knowledge approach and then a data-driven approach. Using the data-driven approach, we are able to collect all that is in public domain and organize it into the structured database. Here you have a structured documented knowledge, and if the same talks to the current data, I think there are, as you have done for maybe 150,000 papers of in the diet, this one, I think there will be equal number of dietary formulations which are described across different texts. So if Charak Samhita alone was to be taken, maybe few more thousand in Sushruta, few more thousand in other texts. So all put together, there are very, very diverse recipes described for different, and these are for health as well as for the diseased conditions, specialized health need conditions and all those things.
Then what is the synonym of flavoring based on this classification?
Of?
Like we have seen, according to Ayurveda, we classify these into 6 categories. Like, whereas if we see how the Western world classified the taste, I mean they club it as umami. They don't have separately pungent or astringent.
Right.
So similarly for flavor, what is the synonym? Like how?
So flavor is called as odor, gandha.
But gandha doesn't it refer to smell?
Yeah, so smell will be coming, I mean odor will be smelled on, I mean the flavor will be a kind of a matter for a smell organ, right? So your infection.
Flavor is how the Western world explain is the smell plus the recognition, like what we can detect from the back of our tongue, right? So taste plus
It's called
smell.
as, so it's a, whenever they are describing a food, they say gandha rasa together. So what kind of food would be the ideal one? I skipped those slides where it is written that ishta gandha rasa varna sparsha. So all sensory perceptions are described for good food, where they say that these are not just for the sake of sensory perception, but they will also nourish the internal biological systems which have receptors for them. So that is what has been described in Sanskrit, that if you were to have all these sensory things according to your liking and according to what is good for you, it will actually lead to nourishment of the respective kind of things in the body. So those are the kind of descriptions which tell about the balanced diet and an ideal kind of a diet that is to be consumed.
So now can we infer that in Ayurveda the taste perception or the taste response is hardwired, and then doesn't it take into account the environmental or the age related thing that okay, maybe you taste certain foods at certain age bitter, but as you grow older those don't taste as bitter.
Yeah, so hardwired for some patterns, but the effect of age on those patterns, the effect of age, the effect of time, the effect of environment on the manifestation of those patterns has been acknowledged. Yeah.
And disease specific as well, for example in obesity and diabetes.
Yeah, there is a, so in diabetes they say, so there is a term called madhurasyata. So you are excessively feeling sweetness in the mouth. There are conditions where they say that tiktasyata, so you are actually feeling very bitter in your mouth. So all these 6 states, when you have an altered sense of taste in your mouth in different disease conditions, and they are actually diagnostic features in a way, that they are speaking about some biological changes that have taken place, and that refers to diagnostic process. That is one of the way by which you diagnose the derangements of dosha inside the body. So as I said, the diet would affect the dosha and agni, and accordingly it will have effect on different systems. But as she rightly said, there are hardwired patterns, and they might affect differently for different individuals. And therefore, they also say that whatever food maybe you take, it definitely has an impact on health, and gradual, and if you were to practice it for a long period of time, you can make it more favorable to your system. But at the same time, the patterns of absorption are also very hardwired. So everybody will not absorb nutrients in the similar way. And that's what they say that dhatavu hi dhatuvaharaha prakritim anuvartantani. So they actually follow prakriti, follow your baseline patterns even during nutrition. So food is one thing, and what nutrition you are deriving out of it, it is quite some time hardwired. And but the effect of environment, geoclimatic conditions on the physiological replenishment of body tissues like blood and all those things. Here there is an example where they are describing about the blood, that Desh, Kal and your lifestyle and dietary practices might actually in a long run influence the characteristics of the systems through the time. And therefore, Prakriti dosha, they affect dhatu metabolism, homeostasis and adaptation. But one needs to match them up. Sorry. This is the scope for precision nutrition. Yeah, so yellow triangle over here, it is about your baseline pattern. And the red triangle is the adaptive component in relation to time, as you are living in relation to circadian rhythm, in relation to seasonal rhythm. This component can keep on varying, and it might most of the times in the self-limiting time. So if this is the gray area, which may not be very clearly visible. So the outermost line is the biologically allowable area. So beyond that, you can actually end up into the disease condition. So if you have already got more Vata axis high, you entering into the disease zone, crossing the Vata side is much higher because you are already at the higher end. And at the same time, if you are having Kapha Prakriti, it will be the other way around for the Kapha Prakriti. Now this yellow, red one is an adaptive one, which is in relation to environment and all that. It is keeping on changing, and it is self-limiting. Where is the problem? If it doesn't get self-limited, if you combine it with in a particular season, your Prakriti is also Vata, season is also of Vata nature, and you also eat and have a lifestyle of a Vata type, then you are more likely to end up into the disease zone. So this is the area where you have a scope for matching up with the diet such that you are not entering into the danger zone of diseases. This is also an area which decides which food somebody might be more sensitive to. If you are more Vata person, and if you are eating more Vata kind of a thing, then you will have higher sensitivity and going off the. So this tells that this is an area which is called as Satme. It is so Satme has two meanings. One is something which you have adapted to owing to your habits, owing to your long-term behavior of eating, even if it is not very suitable for you, because of practice you have got into it and therefore you are adapted to it. Another meaning of Satmya is to which is really good for you, which you need to identify based on that triangle that I showed, and you can gradually adapt to it. So that's the unique area of Ayurveda which describes not only that you just document or you just observe what you are taking, and you are abruptly kind of advised to change it, but this is an area which is very unique, which says that you have to identify where are you, where you need to go, and how you will gradually proceed towards it. And this, another exact opposite of Satme is Viruddha, which is the concept of adverse impacts of food combinations. Now, adverse combinations, like food pairing ke liye both, this is very relevant in the sense, adverse combinations can be because it is, food is perfect, but it is not suitable for that place. It is not good for that time. It is not good in a particular amount. So that is matra. It is not good in a particular combination of this. Equal combination of honey and ghee is not advised. Likewise, there are many examples. Then sanskara, some things which are not supposed to be heated. And if you heat them, then also it's not good. Today morning, chef was telling about cutting of the onions in a particular way. Vitali had been telling me about some cauliflower-like vegetables. If you do not cut and keep for a while, maybe they will not release the antioxidant component of it, which is beneficial for you. So this is all coming under the incompatibilities with respect to combinations or with respect to processing. These are up to food relation, food relation or food processing relation. Now comes the incompatibilities based on food and individual combination. So person whose digestive fire is not good enough to take care, to eat particular thing at night time. So you might be good, it may be good for a particular daytime, you can eat it and you are able to digest it, but at the night time, your digestion is not at your peak and you are headed and you are not able to tolerate it. Prakriti, your baseline composition of Vathit like cup, it does not require a particular kind of food even if it is very healthy for others. Likewise, Koshta. Koshta is your gastric motility kind of a pattern where you have a tendency for constipation or tendency for loose motion or a tendency for gastric motility being very abrupt. Then Satmya, as if you are not very habituated to it and somebody said this is good and you all of a sudden started having it, it's also not good. Likewise, and there is Avastha. Avastha means the stage. You are also compatible, it's good for you, but this age or this disease state, it is not good. So, this whole thing, concept of Satmya and Viruddha tells about personalized usage rather than only looking at the quality. So, this tells that having understood what is your Prakriti, having understood what is good for you, you need to fill the gaps, you can make right combination, you can join the loose ends or you can find options for your dynamic adaptability. So adaptation and food habits, as I already told, the relation between Satmya, Upashay and Pathya. So there are three terms. Satmya is what is suitable to you because of your practices. Upashay is what is going to be helpful for your, which is giving you relief. And Pathya is which is a long-term beneficial for you. So these are the descriptions about saying that how you can adapt to a newer suitable lifestyle regime, not changing it all of a sudden. Even if that habit is not very good, but you have to come out of it in a gradually basic manner. So what does a comprehensive diet design for precision? As I said, there is a term called Ashto Ahar Vidhi Vishesh Ayatan. So there are 8 points. One is Prakriti. First is Prakriti of the diet, the food item. Then Sanskar. Then Sanyoga, combinations. So this is all relating to dietary or food items. then something which is related to environment, desh, kal, and about the matra, which is the amount of individual food ingredient and the all put together amount. Then comes the consideration of who is eating it. Everything is perfect, but that person is whether is suitable or not. So these are the 8 points which actually they described for a kind of a diet design, and this whole thing leads to definition of a balanced diet rather than a static description of some calories or some kind of a nutrient value. They say that food which has diverse group of nutrients, Shad-rasa, which has all kinds of forms of food, not like Shad-rasa, everything is in the drinkable form. Drinkable, eatable, chewable, lickable, all forms of physical forms also need to be there in the menu. Suitable odor, appearance, texture, feel, and not all put together. Again, it should have digestive and nutritive. It might be nutritive, but it is not suiting your digestive capacity. Still, it will not become a wholesome food for you. So these things are described in Ayurveda to be understood in principle, to be harnessed the knowledge from there, and more importantly, the framework of deriving the clustering algorithms, or maybe some way of making relationships much more manageable rather than everything individually described. So this is what I just listed down, scope for computational gastronomy people in case they are assessing the documented knowledge on health variability, individual food and recipes, personalized variation with respect to time, age, place. Then what? So this is all about documenting. Now what is happening in today's time? Whether people are really taking care of all these things, whether those areas where people are taking care of this, what are the health outcomes? So making a food consumption pattern relation with the variable health outcomes, mapping of food patterns with geocultural and climatic variations. These are the things that I feel if done can actually provide for a more high resolution relationship understanding between food and health. So with this, I thank you.
Thanks a lot. We are on case for a moment. Thanks a lot for giving a deep exposure to the Ayurveda and personalized nutrition from the Ayurvedic perspective. Appreciate that, including collaborative perspective that you presented. I sincerely appreciate that. May I call Chef Gill to come forward and present the badge of honor. With that, we have come to the end of a day-long session and deliberations on computational gastronomy. So I wouldn't be spending too much time on the last phase. The certificates of the participants are available with the volunteers. So you may please collect them from the volunteers, all the participants. It would be, spending too much time otherwise to distribute it on stage. So I request you therefore to collect it from the volunteers. They will be available out there. But for I would like to thank each one of you, those who are from culinary schools, culinary industry, food industry, beverages industry, as well as flavor industry, right from spices to other industry, for coming all the way with your interest and curiosity in what is computational gastronomy. I would like to highlight the underlying theme that we have discussed today in the gamut of things that we have talked about today, which is that can computers cook? And one of the take-home message therefore would be that given the kind of compilation of data that is undergoing and varieties of aspects of food that is being collected, we believe that in coming times it is eminently possible to learn from the patterns and also dig into our ancient literature such as that of Ayurveda to be able to not only cook food but cook healthy, nourishing and wholesome food. with the help of computers. That's what we intend to do. That's what our lab and even our collaborators and partners in this crime are wanting to achieve. So with that, I declare the end of the symposium on computational gastronomy season 3. I look forward to having many of you, your friends, partners in season 4, which will happen in the next December 2020. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.